food expert says PNG can reap millions from local industries. Concerns raised over corporal punishment in schools. And Barrick Gold partners Chinese mining company Zijin Group.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for Sunday's news. Concerns have been raised over the way teachers exercise punishment over students who require discipline in schools. A recent incident involving a female student from Kemabolo Day High School in the Rigo district in Central Province has sparked outrage and debate over the controversial issue. The student was hospitalized after being forced to eat chilies by a teacher as a form of punishment.
The student collapsed when she returned home and was rushed by family members to Kwikila Health Centre, who then referred her to Port Moresby General Hospital. A concerned family member who posted images of the girl in hospital on the social site Facebook said she is struggling to recover in hospital in time to sit for her exams. The family member who raised this issue on the social site says the teacher allegedly responsible for exerting this form of punishment is known to have also done this several times to other students in the past. While corporal punishment is still lawful in schools under the provision of the use of force by way of correction in Article 278 of the Criminal Code of 1974, the Education Act of 1983 states that making rules for disciplining students is the responsibility of boards of governors and governing councils. School boards in the country are under strict instructions from the National Education Department to not use any form of physical punishment to discipline students who break school rules. Human rights treaty bodies operating within the country over the years have advocated for the prohibition of corporal punishment for children, making strong recommendations for the government to develop proactive strategies and carry out public education about the negative consequences it poses for children in both the home and school settings, and instead promote positive non-violent forms of discipline. The concerned family member has made known his intentions to seek legal advice for the young girls suffering. Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
Counting for the third autonomous Bougainville government general election is now complete. Bougainville Electoral Commission officially closed the counting after declaring members for the last two seats, North Bougainville Regional Women and former combatants. Woman leader Francisca Semoso was declared for the North Bougainville seat after polling 13,627 votes. Meanwhile, Bougainville's acting electoral commissioner, George Manu, will be returning the writs to ABG Speaker Andrew Miriki tomorrow to mark the completion of the 2015 ABG general elections. A Papua New Guinean food technologist says the country can reap millions if local industries can manufacture food ingredients. John Malai says the country spends millions in importing ingredients, but there is a chance in changing that around. Mr. Malai told EMTV PNG needs a post-harvest processing center.
John Malai is one of the country's think tanks involved in setting up big food manufacturing industries in Lae and Port Moresby. He says PNG's agricultural sector has a huge gap in appreciating the work farmers do and keep farmers in the top clause of the food chain.
Farmers get interested and then they lose the interest once again, and the bush is full of cacao, is full of coconut trees, is full of everything, and yet it's all wastes.
John is now residing in Manus but says the government must be serious in establishing a post-harvest research center so local farmers can see their produce being manufactured in the country and save more money from going out.
They need a post-harvest processing center, and that will complement what the agricultural production is, and this is the missing link.
Malai says PNG has enough food crops that can substitute the huge amount of ingredients the country imports.
There's a lot of opportunity in this country, but we need a research team, the Post-Harvest Processing Research Institute. It must complement NARI. And if we do not establish this Post-Harvest Research Institute or laboratory, then we will still fight developments in agriculture and we will not get nowhere.
PNG imports almost 75% of ingredients to manufacture just one product, which costs around 10.3 million every year. Malai believes having a post-harvest processing center can have impact on the country's economy and drive farmers to produce more. Jack Lapave Jr., National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. We'll go for a short break now, but when we return, understanding successful small businesses, key to SME growth, and Barrick Gold Corporation partners with Chinese mining company Zijin. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Understanding how to run a small successful business is vital to growing the small to medium enterprise sector in the country. Over 45 participants in Manus were encouraged in knowing the necessary steps in today's business world. This comes after a 3-day informative workshop ended recently at the Harborside Hotel in Lorengau Town.
The 3-day informative workshop comes after a series of business workshops was carried out at the Sapau Center last month. Many Manusians are not new in running a business, but understanding few little concepts is critical for them. Supported and funded under the Australian government through the Provincial and Local Level Government Program or PLGP, the informative sessions drew much interest for the locals. Informative presentations were given by the Internal Revenue Commission, National Development Bank, Mi Bank and the local commerce sector. Manus people have relied heavily on fishing and sale of garden produce, while a fair number of Manusians run businesses in town. However, most are Asians. The establishment of the Regional Processing Center has left many opportunities to start businesses in Manus, but understanding business aspects is now the challenge few Manusians are going through to give a kick to the local economy. Jack Lapave Jr., National MTV News.
A suspect in the Kundiawa April Daewoo robbery has been arrested in Leh. Arnold Kokona, married with 4 children, was arrested by Leh Police and was transported to Kundiawa recently. Simbu Police Provincial Commander Chief Inspector Albert Belli has told MTV the arrest brings the total to 5 suspects out of the 9. 4 suspects are still on the run and are known to police. The robbery took place in April, where a total of over 300,000 kina in cash and checks was stolen from Daewoo Trading. Barrick Gold Corporation recently announced a strategic partnership with a leading Chinese mining company, Zijin Mining Group. Zijin will acquire 50% of Barrick Limited, which is the majority owner and manager of the Porgera joint venture gold mine in PNG. Barrick chairman John Thornton said a 21st century mining company with the intention to become a global industrial leader must have a distinct relationship with China.
When announcing the partnership, Barrick said it has signed a long-term strategic cooperation agreement. The agreements outline the intent of both companies to collaborate on future projects and joint investments. But the announcement also sparked questions in Parliament from the Governor for Enga Province, Peter Ipatas. He said landowners have taken issue with the state and Barrick over the last few years over environmental damage and other matters. Mr. Ipatas said he was reliably informed that the Chinese company does not have an impressive record.
In China, it is reported that 22 people were killed and more than 500 houses were destroyed as a result of a collapse of a tailing dam in China.
He asked if the government was going to do anything about these reports in terms of establishing whether the company is credible. Mining Minister Byron Chan said he was not aware of all the mentioned incidents but indicated trust in Barrick's decisions.
The credibility of this company, I believe, was assessed by the company themselves.
Mr. Chen went on to point out that Zijin Mining Group has a large portfolio and has been operating for 20 years.
Zijin Gold Mine Company has an extensive portfolio of gold, copper, lead and zinc, tungsten and iron and other base metals over the past 20 years.
In the meantime, Barrick said combining its experience and track record of operating success in PNG with Zijin's strong cost management capabilities will help to unlock the full value of this mine for the benefit of all stakeholders. Deli Waigeno, National MTV News.
You're watching National MTV News. Ahead in sports, Will Genia plays his last match for the Queensland Reds. The details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. First up to rugby union. Yesterday marked a historic occasion for PNG-born Will Genia as he played his last game for the Queensland Reds. Genia had been part of the revamping of the Queensland Reds over the last decade. The game drew a crowd of over 25,000 people, and although it ended in favour of the Waikato Chiefs with a 3-22 scoreline, it was a momentous occasion for the Reds. Genia will travel to France at the end of the 2015 Rugby World Cup, where he will play for the next 3 years. And in the Intercity Cup, the Goroka-Lahanis have secured another narrow win against the Gulf Isapeas, 14 points to 10 in the first match of the doubleheader in Port Moresby. With their run-in this season on the line and minor changes to the lineup, head coach of the Gulf Isapeas, Ted Vere, remains optimistic for the team. Rabaul Gurriers faced yet another loss on the road, going down to the Port Moresby Vipers in the second match of the doubleheader, 14 points to 16. Gurriers, however, remain at the top of the Eastern Pool alongside Leyte Tigers. The Isapeas will need to win the next weekend's match to keep their bid in the finals alive. Traffic and crowd control remains one of the challenges that was posed during the matches this afternoon. To the NRL. In the NRL Sunday action, the Cronulla Sharks defeated the Sydney City Roosters 10 points to 6 in a nail-biter that was fought to the very last second. 15 metres out from the Sharks' try line and trailing by a converted try with 60 seconds to level the game, Roosters speedster Tuivasa Sheck dropped the ball and the Sharks slowly played out the last seconds. And that wraps up our sporting news for this evening. I'll be back with the weather details after the break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby dry, Daru and Kerema fine, and mostly fine for Alotau and Popondetta. Over to the Mombasa region, you can expect brief showers and fine weather expected in Madang, Wewak and Vanimore. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Kavieng, you can expect fine weather and mostly fine weather expected as well in Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, all centres to expect fine weather with possible morning fog. To look at the forecast for small ships, but first there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of Papua New Guinea except for Bougainville and New Ireland. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island to Kerema to Yule Island. Waters of Yule Island to Hood Point to Samaria Island, seas 2.5 to 3 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of New Britain, seas 2.5 to 3.0 meters. And waters of New Ireland and Bougainville, seas 1.5 to 2.0 meters. And a look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. For the Coral Sea, seas rough with southeasterly winds at 25 to 34 knots. Solomon Sea, seas rough with southeasterly winds at 25 to 34 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas rough with southeasterly winds at 25 to 34 knots. In the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with moderate with southeast to southeasterly winds at 10 to 20 knots. And that has been the news, sports and weather for today, Sunday, the 7th of June 2015. On behalf of the news team, have a pleasant working week. Good night.